the most powerful moment of their day without a second thought. The 7 minutes right before you fall asleep can completely reshape your mind, your energy, and your entire future. But if you don't use them wisely, you'll pour all of today's chaos into your sleep and wake up tomorrow with the same noise you tried to leave behind. Think about it. We spend hours working, scrolling, and stressing, but we give zero attention to the one ritual that decides the quality of our rest, the state of our mind, and the clarity of our next day. What if I told you that in just 7 minutes, you could change not only how you sleep, but how you live? The power of a single moment before sleep. Consider the final moments of your day, that hazy liminal space between the active rush of being awake and the surrender of full sleep. This is not a passive transition, not merely a shutting down of systems, but an active and profoundly consequential process. It is in these moments that the door to your subconscious mind stands most ajar, receptive and impressionable, ready to accept the final delivery of the day. What you deliver to it at this precise juncture sets the foundational tone for everything that follows in the night, and by extension, the day that will emerge from it. Your body may be horizontal, muscles relaxing, breath slowing, a physical semblance of peace achieved, but the mind, that relentless engine of thought and emotion, does not simply power off. It continues its hum, its narrative, and it carries the last subject it engaged with directly into the depths of your rest. If the final engagement was with the sharp light of a phone screen, with the frantic energy of a news cycle, with the unresolved tension of an argument, or the anxious rehearsal of a tomorrow's demands, then that is the cargo, that is the energy you wrap yourself in as you drift away. It is the final brushstroke on the canvas of your day, and it has a unique power to tint the entire painting, to blend with and influence all the colors that came before it. This stroke can be one of chaotic, dark splatter, or it can be one of deliberate, calming clarity. The choice, though often made by default, is yours. This understanding is not a new age revelation, but an ancient recognition, a thread of wisdom woven through countless traditions that have long studied the architecture of a well-lived life. These traditions understood that consciousness is not a binary state of on or off, but a spectrum, a gradual descent into the depths of the self. The final point of conscious awareness before that descent is a point of incredible leverage. It is the planting of a seed in the fertile, dark soil of the subconscious. That seed, however small, is what the night will water and what the morning will seek to bring into the light of dawn. A seed of anxiety will germinate into a morning of restless energy and scattered focus. A seed of gratitude will find its expression in a perspective of abundance and calm upon waking. A seed of peaceful acceptance will yield a day that begins with a sense of inner stability, regardless of the external storms that may arise. The masters of old were not immune to the troubles of the world, to the same worries and fears that plague us today. Their discipline was in the conscious stewardship of this moment. They would not allow a restless mind and untamed thought to be the final act of their day. They knew that to do so was to surrender their peace to chaos, to allow the final word on their state of being to to be spoken by the day's disturbances rather than by their own conscious intent. This is where the profound potential of just 7 minutes is revealed. It is not a long time, it is a sliver of the evening, often wasted on meaningless scrolling or mindless consumption. But reclaimed and repurposed, it becomes a sanctuary of stillness. This is not about adding another demanding task to your day, another item on a checklist to feel guilty about not completing. It is about a subtle but powerful shift in approach. It is the conscious choice to transition, to create a buffer zone between the motion of the day and the stillness of the night. These 7 minutes are an invitation to step out of the river of constant doing and simply be, to allow the sediment of the day's experiences to settle so that you can see the water of your own mind clearly once more. In this space, you are not fighting your thoughts. You are not attempting the impossible task of emptying your mind. Instead, you are changing your relationship to the content of your mind. You are moving from being a participant in the internal drama to a compassionate observer of it. This shift in perspective is everything. From this vantage point, you can see the thoughts and worries not as overwhelming truths, but as passing mental phenomena. This act of observation itself is a cleansing. It is in this space of non-reactive awareness that you can then make a conscious choice about what seed you wish to plant. You can gently guide your awareness away from the noise and toward a point of focus, of gratitude, or of peaceful intention. This deliberate act, repeated nightly, is how you begin to paint a completely different tomorrow. It is how you ensure that the final brushstroke is one of peace, setting a tone of calm that permeates your rest and infuses your awakening. Why most people carry chaos into their sleep. The common ritual for ending a day in the modern world is not a ritual of closure, but one of persistent engagement. We live in a culture that prizes constant connectivity, endless stimulation, and the myth of productivity that bleeds into every hour. The evening for many is not a winding down, but merely a shifting of focus from one type of screen to another, from the demands of work to the distractions of entertainment. We collapse onto the couch and turn on the television, not for its content, but for its noise, a background hum to fill the silence we have become so uncomfortable with. We take our phones to bed, the ultimate symbol of this refusal to disconnect, and we scroll through a curated highlight reel of other people's lives, through news cycles designed to provoke anxiety, through an infinite stream of information that has no off switch. This is the noise. It is auditory, it is visual, but most importantly, it is cognitive. The mind, designed to process and solve, is presented with an unending fire hose of stimuli, right up until the moment we command it to shut down and go to sleep. This is the central issue. We end our day in a state of high cognitive arousal and then expect a seamless, instantaneous transition into restorative quiet. It is a physiological and psychological impossibility. We operate under a profound misconception about the nature of sleep. We treat it as a universal eraser, a kind of cognitive delete key that wipes the slate clean for the next day. We believe that whatever mess we leave on the desk of our mind at night will be magically tidied up by the janitorial service of sleep. This is a dangerous and incorrect assumption. Sleep is not an eraser. If it is anything, it is a magnifying glass and a deep processing and storage system. The subconscious mind, which takes the helm, when conscious awareness fades, does not have a critical filter. It accepts the material you give it and gets to work. It magnifies the emotions, it weaves the narratives, and it integrates the experiences of the day. If the last material you provided was a stressful email, your subconscious doesn't dismiss it. It dwells on it, amplifying the feeling of threat or anxiety. If it was a social comparison from Instagram, it magnifies that feeling of inadequacy. If it was the replaying of an argument, it continues to run those loops, searching for solutions and reinforcing the neural pathways of anger or hurt. This is why you can spend a full 8 hours in bed, perfectly still, and yet wake up feeling as if you never slept at all. You feel exhausted, heavy, and frayed. The common conclusion is that you need more sleep, but the truth is often that you need better sleep. The body has rested, but the mind has been on a tumultuous journey all night long. It has been hard at work processing the chaos you handed it right before it went offline. You did not simply fall asleep. You effectively dragged your entire waking world, its unfinished business, its unresolved conflicts, its latent anxieties, right into the bed with you. There was no boundary, no ritual of release, no moment where you consciously said, "This is where the day ends, and this is where my rest begins." Without that boundary, the concerns of the day become the background processes of the night, draining your mental resources and preventing the truly deep, restorative stages of sleep from taking hold. You become a passive participant in your own rest, allowing external stimuli and unchecked internal narratives to dictate the quality of your recovery. This creates a vicious cycle. You wake up tired from the mental labor of the night, so you start the new day with a deficit of energy and clarity. This lower capacity makes you more susceptible to stress and anxiety throughout the day, which you then inevitably carry right back into your sleep the following night. The cycle reinforces itself day after day, night after night, leading to a persistent state of low-grade fatigue, brain fog, and emotional reactivity. The solution is not to try and solve your problems at midnight, which is an exercise in futility. The solution is to break the cycle at the point of transition. It is to recognize that the chaos of the night is a direct result of the choices made in the final minutes of the day, and that by changing those choices, you can change the entire nature of your rest and, by extension, your waking life. The secret of the last 7 minutes. The transformation we speak of does not require a monumental effort or a complete overhaul of your life. It is found not in adding more, but in a subtle redirection of what is already there. The shift is profound in its impact, yet simple in its execution. Instead of abandoning your mind to its own chaotic devices in the final moments of the day, you step forward as its gentle guide. You offer it not a command, but a direction. This is the purpose of the 7 minutes. It is a period of intentional transition, a bridge consciously built between the turbulence of the day and the silent depths of the night. To understand its power, consider the metaphor of preparing your home for a guest. This is a universal concept. When you know someone you respect is coming to visit, you engage in a ritual of preparation. You might tidy the rooms, clear the clutter from the surfaces, create a sense of order and welcome. You would not, if you had the choice, invite a valued guest into a space that was chaotic, dirty, and filled with the unresolved mess of yesterday. It would be seen as disrespectful, a poor welcome. Yet, every single night, you perform the ultimate act of invitation. You invite sleep, the most vital guest of all, the restorer of your body and mind, into the inner home of your consciousness. And what is the state of that home? Is it a place of order and peace, or is it cluttered with the mental debris of the day, with unfinished arguments, with anxieties about the future, with the glowing residue of screens? The 7 minutes is nothing more than the conscious act of tidying that inner home before your guest arrives. It is the respectful preparation for the arrival of rest. This time is sacred because it is a point of ultimate leverage. It is the threshold. What happens on this threshold determines the quality of everything that follows for the next 7 or 8 hours. It decides whether the night will be a journey of healing and integration or one of further fragmentation and drain. Many misunderstand the requirement for this ritual, believing it demands a specific environment, special tools, or esoteric knowledge. They imagine they need scented candles, specific music, a perfect meditation cushion, or absolute silence. While these things can be pleasant, they are ultimately external props. They are not the essence of the practice. The true requirement is internal and is always accessible to you, no matter your circumstances. It is your own presence, your undistracted, non-judgmental, gentle awareness. This is the medicine. Presence is the act of coming home to yourself. It is feeling the weight of your body on the bed, hearing the distant sounds without needing to label them, noticing the rhythm of your breath without needing to change it. It is the act of being the conscious observer of your own experience, rather than being lost within the experience itself. This simple shift in identity from the thinker of the thoughts to the awareness behind the thoughts is the fundamental magic. It creates a space in the usual mode of being. There is no space between a stimulus and your reaction to it. A worrying thought arises, and you are immediately launched into the worry. In presence, a gap appears. The worrying thought arises, and you see it arise. You note, there is worry, and in that noting, you are not identical to the worry. You are the space in which the worry is happening. This space is peace. This space is clarity. And it is into this space that you can then invite the healing power of sleep. The 7 minutes is the dedicated time to cultivate this space, to widen this gap, to become so established in your presence that when sleep does come, it envelops a mind that is already resting in awareness, not one that is fighting a war. The beauty of this practice is its gentle simplicity. You are not trying to achieve a special state of bliss or force your mind to be blank. Such striving is just another form of chaos, another demand placed upon a tired system. The practice is one of allowance and observation. You are simply creating the conditions for the mind to settle on its own, much like allowing muddy water to become clear by simply letting it be still. You are not attacking the mud, you are ceasing to stir the pot. This is the secret that is hidden in plain sight. We spend our lives trying to fix our thoughts, to solve our problems, to change our states. This 7-minute ritual is an invitation to stop fixing, stop solving, and stop changing for a brief period. It is an invitation to simply be, to be with whatever is present, without an agenda. In doing so, you communicate a profound message to your entire nervous system. All is well in this moment. There is nothing to do, nowhere to go. We are safe. This message of safety is the most powerful signal you can send to trigger the body's natural relaxation response. It tells the adrenal system to stand down. It allows the heart rate to decrease. It permits the muscles to release their guarded tension. This is the biological equivalent of tidying the home. You are moving the system from a state of sympathetic activation, fight or flight, to a state of parasympathetic dominance, rest and digest. By doing this consciously before sleep, you are ensuring that the entire night's journey occurs within this restorative state. You are not leaving it to chance, hoping that sleep will somehow overcome the momentum of a stressed-out day. You are taking direct, gentle, and deliberate responsibility for the environment into which you will surrender your awareness. You are making it safe to let go, calming the inner storm. The initial phase of this 7-minute practice is the most critical, for it addresses the primary obstacle, the tempest of uncontrolled mental activity. To begin, you must first find a posture that allows for both alertness and relaxation. This is not about achieving a perfect lotus position. It is about finding a physical arrangement that your body can accept without struggle. You may lie flat on your back, feeling the full length of your spine make contact with the bed, your arms resting gently by your sides. You may sit upright against the headboard, ensuring your head is supported. The physical posture is secondary to the intention behind it. The intention to be still, to be awake, and to be inwardly attentive. Then, you close your eyes. This simple act is the first decisive step inward. It is the physical signal that you are withdrawing from the external world and turning your attention to the internal landscape and what meets you there. Typically, it is noise. It is the reverberating echo of the day's conversations, the looping playlist of worries about tomorrow, the sudden flash of a forgotten task, the emotional residue of a conflict. This is the inner storm. It has been raging all day, but you were too distracted by outer storms to hear it clearly. Now, in the silence, its volume seems deafening. The instinctual habitual reaction to the storm is to fight it. We see the thoughts as enemies to be vanquished, problems to be solved immediately. We try to push them down, to argue with them, to replace them with more positive ones. This is a fundamental error. This fighting is itself a form of violence, and it only adds more energy to the storm. It is like trying to calm choppy water by slapping at it with your hands. The effort itself creates more waves. The correct approach is one of radical non-resistance. Your initial task is not to calm the storm, but to change your relationship to it. You must learn to sit as the unwavering observer in the eye of the hurricane. The instruction is to simply notice the racing thoughts, notice the tug of emotions, anxiety, sadness, frustration. Don't analyze them. Don't follow their storylines. Don't judge them as good or bad. Simply acknowledge their presence. See them as weather patterns moving through the vast sky of your awareness. A thought is like a cloud. It forms, it changes shape, it drifts across your field of consciousness, and it eventually dissipates. Your practice is to be the sky, not the cloud. The sky does not cling to the clouds, nor does it try to push them away. It holds them with immense space and allows them their natural movement. When you find yourself having been caught up in a thought, lost in a story for a minute or two, the moment you realize it is a moment of success, not failure, that moment of realization is you returning to your role as the sky, gently, without any self-criticism. You simply return your attention to the simple act of noticing. This might happen dozens of times in a few minutes. Each return is a repetition of a new neural pathway, strengthening your ability to be present. This act of observation, practiced with consistency, is inherently cleansing. It is not that the thoughts disappear, rather they begin to lose their power over you. Their compulsive, demanding quality lessens. You see them for what they are, transient mental events, not absolute truths. By refusing to engage with them, by refusing to fuel them with your attention, you starve them of energy. The storm begins to settle, not because you forced it to, but because you stopped adding wind to it. This is your first genuine taste of peace. It is not a peace that comes from everything in your life being perfect. It is a peace that comes from no longer being at war with your own experience. It is the peace of the sky that remains untouched regardless of the weather passing through. This foundational skill of observation is the bedrock upon which everything else is built. Without it, any attempt to focus on the breath or set an intention will be constantly undermined by the unchecked chaos of the mind. With it, you create a stable platform of awareness. From this platform, you are no longer a victim of your internal state. You are its witness, and in time, you become its master. The mind softens not through force, but through the profound patience of your own unwavering attention. You discover that you don't need to push thoughts away, you only need to stop chasing them. The moment you stop chasing, you find they were never really pursuing you in the first place. They were just passing through, and you, in your identification with them, were the one who gave them a home. Now, you are learning to be a gracious host, who allows visitors to come and go without moving in and taking over. The breath that resets the mind. Having established a foundation of observation, of creating a space between yourself and the ceaseless flow of your thoughts, you now have a platform from which to engage in a more active form of cultivation. The mind, now slightly less turbulent from being simply witnessed, is ready for a gentle anchor. This anchor is not found in any external tool or complex philosophy. It is with you always, the most constant rhythm of your life. From your first moment to your last, it is your breath. The breath is far more than a biological function for gas exchange. It is the most powerful and direct bridge between the conscious and the subconscious, between the body and the mind, between the voluntary and the involuntary systems of your being. You cannot directly command your heart to slow its pace, nor can you order your cortisol levels to drop with a thought, but you can consciously alter the depth, pace, and rhythm of your breathing. And in doing so, you send a cascade of physiological messages that the entire organism must obey. When you breathe in a shallow, rapid, panicked way, you are broadcasting a signal of danger, and the body mobilizes for threat. When you breathe slowly, deeply, and rhythmically, you are broadcasting a signal of safety, of peace, and the entire system responds accordingly. This is why the breath is the master key to resetting the internal state. The practice is to bring your full attention to this process. You are not trying to force the breath into an unnatural pattern immediately, but to guide it gently, as one might guide a boat on a current, using the rudder with subtle intention. Begin by simply noticing the breath as it feel the cool air entering the nostrils, the slight expansion of the chest, the gentle rise of the abdomen. Then gradually begin to invite a change. Encourage the inhalation to deepen, to travel down past the chest and into the belly. Imagine the breath filling you from the bottom up, like water pouring into a glass. The exhalation is then allowed to be long, slow, and complete, releasing everything, a full letting go. The useful and simple structure to follow is a counted breath, not as a rigid rule, but as a gentle guide for a wandering mind. Inhale slowly to a count of 4, feeling the expansion. Hold the breath gently for a count of 2, not with tension, but with a sense of fullness and pause. Then exhale smoothly to a count of 6, allowing the body to soften and release all tension. This extended exhalation is crucial as it directly stimulates the vagus nerve, the commander of the parasympathetic nervous system, triggering the relaxation response. The entire cycle is then repeated, not mechanically, but with a feeling of natural flow, like the ocean waves constantly arriving and receding from the shore. The effects of this are not merely poetic, they are immediate and physiological. As your breath slows, your mind has no choice but to follow. The frantic jumping quality of thought begins to settle because the body is no longer providing the biochemical fuel for anxiety. As your breath deepens, your body relaxes. Muscles held tight in your jaw, your shoulders, your back receive the message that they can finally let go. Oxygenation improves, calming the heart and soothing the nervous system. The storm that was your mind begins to settle, not because you fought it, but because you changed the very atmosphere in which it was raging. You calmed the wind. Just 3 or 4 minutes of this mindful, deliberate breathing is enough to create a profound shift from a state of sympathetic chaos to one of parasympathetic balance. It is a deliberate, conscious intervention into your own autonomic state. You are essentially using the one aspect of the autonomic nervous system that you can voluntarily control, your breathing, to influence all the aspects you cannot directly control: your heart rate, your digestion, your stress hormones. This several-minute practice effectively performs a system reboot. It clears the cache of the day's frantic energy and lowers the volume of the internal noise from a deafening shout to a manageable whisper. It creates the conditions of stillness necessary for the next, more reflective phase of the ritual. You are now no longer in a state of reaction. You are entering a state of receptive calm, where deeper wisdom can begin to surface from within, rather than being shouted down by the surface-level chaos of the mind. Turning awareness inward. From the calm and centered space cultivated through breath, a new possibility emerges. The mind is no longer a raging storm, but more like a clear, still lake. The surface is settled, and now you can see into the depths. This is the moment to turn the light of your awareness inward, not in a spirit of dissection or judgment, but in a spirit of reflective curiosity. The entire day has just passed, a series of events, interactions, successes, and challenges. Most of us live these experiences and then immediately move on to the next, never pausing to extract any meaning from them. We are like ships passing through the ocean, leaving no wake, gaining no knowledge of the waters we have traveled. The day's events then remain as raw, undigested data points, cluttering the mental space without providing any nourishment. This step is the process of digestion. It is the conscious act of metabolizing your experiences to extract the nutrient of wisdom. The tool for this is a single, simple, but profoundly powerful question. What did I learn today? The specificity of this question is critical. It is not what did I accomplish, which leads to pride or frustration. It is not what went wrong, which leads to blame and regret. It is not what should I have done differently, which is merely a rehearsal for a past that can no longer be changed. The question is solely about learning, This frame transforms every experience, especially the difficult ones, from failures into lessons. A frustrating delay becomes a lesson in patience. A misunderstanding becomes a lesson in communication. A moment of overwhelm becomes a lesson in your own limits and the need for boundaries. This is not an intellectual exercise, it is a felt one. You are not writing a report, you are feeling for the imprint the day has left on you. You scan back through the hours with a gentle attention, allowing memories to arise without force. You might find that a particular moment stands out. You sit with that moment and ask, what was the lesson here? The answer will rarely be a grand, life-changing epiphany. More often, it is a small, quiet truth. The lesson might be that you are still quick to judge, and you learned the value of pausing before speaking. It might be that a moment of kindness from a stranger lifted your entire afternoon, and you learned about the power of small gestures. It might be that you pushed through a task you were avoiding and learned the satisfaction of completion. The lesson could be about humility, about strength, about forgiveness, or about gratitude. By asking this question, you are training yourself to be a perpetual student of your own life. You are affirming that no day, no matter how ordinary or difficult, is ever wasted if you can learn one thing from it. This act of collection is how you honor the day. It is how you give it meaning and purpose beyond the mere ticking of a clock. You are gathering the hidden gift that was always there, wrapped within the experience itself, waiting for you to pause and unwrap it. This practice fundamentally changes your relationship with time and experience. Instead of feeling like life is happening to you, a chaotic series of random events, you begin to see it as a curriculum happening for you. Every interaction, every challenge becomes a potential source of growth. This is how wisdom is built, not in large, sudden revelations, but in the quiet, daily accumulation of small insights. By dedicating these moments each night to this reflection, you are ensuring your own evolution. You are not allowing your experiences to pass through you and vanish. You are ensuring they pass into you, becoming integrated parts of your understanding and character. This completes the process of the day. You have lived it, and now you have learned from it. There is no more unfinished business. There is only wisdom gathered, which is a light burden to carry, and a solid foundation upon which to build a better tomorrow. With this done, the mind has no need to churn through the events of the day in the night, seeking resolution. The resolution has been found. The lesson has been logged. The book of the day can be closed, knowing its value has been fully received. The weight of thoughts and how to drop them. Having reflected on the day and gathered its wisdom, you are now faced with a final crucial task before surrender, the act of release. To carry the wisdom is one thing. To carry the undigested weight, the unresolved worry, the sharp shard of regret, is something else entirely. The mind, in its habitual state, clings. It holds on to things long after their usefulness has passed, turning them over and over, as if this constant friction will somehow polish them into a solution. This is an illusion. The thinking mind, especially when fatigued, is not a tool for solving complex problems. It is a machine for generating endless permutations of anxiety. You must now make a conscious and deliberate choice. You must see these clinging thoughts for what they are, not urgent matters to be resolved, but burdens to be set down. Imagine each one as a stone, cold and heavy in your hand. One stone, is the worry about a conversation tomorrow. Another is the frustration from a task left undone. Another is a vague anxiety about something you cannot even name. You have been carrying this collection of stones all evening, perhaps all your life, your hand clenched tight around them. The act now is to simply open your hand, to allow each stone to drop, one by one, to feel the weight leave you. This is not an act of avoidance or irresponsibility. It is the highest form of responsibility towards your own well-being. It is the recognition that a depleted, exhausted, and chaotic self has nothing of value to offer any problem. Trying to solve your life at midnight is like trying to repair a watch with a sledgehammer. You will only cause more damage. The solutions you seek will not be found in the frantic, circular thinking of a tired mind. They will emerge in the clarity of the morning, from a mind that has been restored, a perspective that has been reset. The silent phrase, "not tonight," is not a denial of reality. It is a boundary set with compassion for yourself. It is a promise that you will return to these matters, but you will do so with the proper tools, with rest, with clarity, and with strength that you currently do not possess. By dropping the stones tonight, you are not abandoning your duties. You are ensuring you are capable of fulfilling them tomorrow. You are making a strategic retreat to gather your resources. This act requires trust. Trust that the world will not fall apart in the few hours you are asleep. Trust that your subconscious mind, unburdened by the screaming of your conscious worries, will work on a deeper level to integrate the day's lessons and perhaps even offer insights upon waking. This is the difference between collapsing into sleep from exhaustion and consciously choosing to enter rest. One is a defeat. The other is a tactical decision for renewal. When you drop the stones, you are not falling. You are laying down a burden so you can stand up taller tomorrow. You are creating a vacuum of peace, an empty space where worry once resided. This emptiness is not a void to be feared, but a fertile ground. It is the necessary precondition for the final step of this ritual. You cannot plant a new seed in soil that is already choked with rocks. You must first clear the ground. The act of dropping each stone, of mentally visualizing the release of each specific worry, is that clearing. It is the weeding of the inner garden. You are making a conscious choice about what you allow to occupy the precious ground of your mind as you cross over into the vulnerable and impressionable state of sleep. You are choosing to enter the night light, unburdened and open, rather than armored, heavy and closed, planting the seed of clarity. With the ground of your mind now cleared, the stones of worry dropped, and the space within you quiet and receptive, you arrive at the most creative moment of this entire ritual. The canvas is blank, the soil is tilled, the air is still. This is the point of maximum leverage, the moment where a minute of intention can define the quality of the next 8 hours and the entire day that follows. Into this emptiness you do not allow just anything to wander in. You do not leave it to chance, risking that some stray anxiety or random thought will take root in the fertile darkness of sleep. You become the gardener of your own mind. You consciously, deliberately plant a single seed. This seed is an intention. It is not a goal, not a task, not a demand. It is a quality of being. It is a simple, gentle direction for your spirit. It could be as straightforward as, "Tomorrow I will move with calm," or "Tomorrow I will meet challenges with patience," or "Tomorrow I will be present in my conversations." The critical element is that it is one seed, just one This is not a shopping list for a new personality. The human mind cannot focus on 10 intentions at once. It will simply dilute the power of all of them until they become meaningless noise. The power lies in the singularity, the focus. One seed planted with full attention and feeling contains immense potential. Think of a single acorn. It does not seem like much, but within it is the latent blueprint for a mighty oak tree. It does not try to be an oak tree on the first day. It simply holds the intention, and with the right conditions, soil, water, time, it unfurls according to its nature. Your intention is that acorn. You are not forcing yourself to be calm. You are planting the seed of calmness and allowing the night to nurture. This is the great secret that is so often overlooked. Sleep is not a blank void. It is an active state of processing and magnification. Whatever you take into it, it will amplify. If you take in chaos and worry, it will weave those threads into the fabric of your subconscious, and you will wake with them feeling larger and more real. But if you take in a clear, positive, and gentle intention, sleep will magnify that. It will water that seed with the deep resources of your unconscious mind, allowing it to send roots into your being. You are essentially giving your subconscious a homework assignment. You are saying, during this time of rest, work on this, integrate this quality, help me embody this tomorrow. And the subconscious, which does not reason or argue, but simply accepts and processes, gets to work. This is why you will wake up different. You may not wake up and immediately recite your intention, but you will find yourself acting from it. You will notice a patience in a situation that would normally irritate you. You will feel a sense of calm during a morning rush. The intention will have moved from a thought you held to a quality you inhabit. You planted clarity, and you woke with clarity. The entire ritual, the breathing, the reflection, the release, has all been in service of preparing the soil to receive this one seed in its most potent state. It ensures the seed is not choked by weeds or planted in rocky ground. This final act is the culmination of the 7 minutes. It is how you actively paint the first brushstroke of your tomorrow before today has even ended. You are not a passive victim of whatever mood the morning brings. You are the silent architect of it. Night after night, this practice of planting a single seed rewires your default state. The tiny acorns of intention grow into forests of character, until one day you realize that the quality you were trying to cultivate has simply become who you are. Waking up different without forcing change. The most profound transformations in life are rarely the product of sheer force of will. Willpower is a finite resource, a muscle that tires from constant strain, and to believe that lasting change requires a daily battle against one's own nature is a recipe for exhaustion and eventual failure. The beautiful and counterintuitive truth of this 7-minute practice is that it requires no forcing. You are not wrestling your mind into submission. You are not suppressing your emotions through gritted teeth. You are not trying to become a different person through an act of violent self-overcoming. Instead, you are engaging in a gentle ritual of realignment. You are simply creating the conditions, the internal environment, where a different way of being can naturally emerge. The ritual itself does the work. By consistently following these steps each night, you are effectively reprogramming your own operating system, not through a harsh command, but through a gentle, repeated invitation. The change is not something you do, It is something that happens to you as a natural consequence of the space you have created. You will begin to wake up feeling lighter, and this lightness will be palpable. It is not that your external circumstances have magically improved overnight. The same challenges, the same responsibilities, the same complexities of life will likely still be there. The difference is that you are no longer carrying the accumulated weight of every yesterday that came before it. You have, through the act of evening release, cut the anchor that was holding you to the past. You are starting each day not with a deficit of energy from carrying old burdens, but with a neutral or even a positive balance. This shift manifests in every aspect of your waking life. Your days begin without the static, that low-grade hum of background anxiety, the mental fog that makes every decision feel difficult. Instead, there is a quiet clarity. The mind, having been allowed to truly rest and reset, operates with a new sharpness. Decisions are made not from a place of reactive panic, but from a place of considered calm. You can see options more clearly because the lens of your perception is no longer clouded by yesterday's dust. Your emotions, too, find a new steadiness. They become like waves on a deep ocean. They may rise and fall on the surface in response to the winds of the day, but beneath them is a profound stability, a depth that is not easily disturbed. You are less likely to be thrown off course by a negative comment or an unexpected obstacle, because your foundation is no longer shaky. This change, though internal, often becomes visible to others. People in your life may not be able to pinpoint the reason, but they will notice a difference. They might remark, "You seem calmer lately," or "There's a lightness about you." They will not know that the origin of this change was a silent, invisible 7-minute ritual performed in the dark before sleep. But you will know. You will know that this newfound equilibrium was not found in a dramatic life overhaul, but in the consistent, gentle application of a simple practice. It is the understanding that you do not need to fight yourself to change. You only need to consistently care for yourself in the right way, and change will follow as a natural, effortless result. A small ritual that rewires your life. Consider the math of a human life, the sheer volume of days and hours that we are given. We often operate under the grand illusion that to change our lives, we need a similarly grand gesture, a radical new diet, a demanding 2-hour daily workout, a complete digital detox, a life-altering seminar. We make huge promises to ourselves that are unsustainable because they require a level of energy and discipline that is impossible to maintain amidst the relentless current of daily obligations. These grand efforts are like trying to change the course of a mighty river by standing in it and pushing against the water with your hands. You will quickly tire, and the river will flow on unchanged. Lasting change, the kind that rewires your very being, does not work this way. It works through the principle of tiny, consistent, almost imperceptible actions repeated over time. It is the constant drip of water that eventually wears away stone. This 7-minute ritual is that drip. 7 minutes is an almost insignificant amount of time. It is less time than most people spend scrolling through social media in bed, numbing themselves before sleep. It is a fraction of the time spent watching a single episode of a television show. But the power of those minutes is not measured by their length on a clock. It is measured by their strategic placement and their conscious quality. They are positioned at the most vulnerable and influential threshold of your day. the moment you surrender your conscious mind to the depths of your subconscious. What you do in those minutes sets the entire trajectory of your night and lays the foundation for your following day. This ritual holds the power to rewire your life because it operates at the root level. It is not addressing symptoms, it is changing the source code. It directly influences the quality of your sleep, which is the cornerstone of your physical health, mental clarity, and emotional resilience. By transforming your sleep, you transform your wakefulness. A good night's rest is not a passive state. It is an active period of restoration, memory consolidation, and emotional processing. When you ensure that this process begins from a place of peace and intention rather than chaos and anxiety, the benefits compound exponentially. Night after night, you are building a new neural architecture for calmness. You are strengthening the pathways for presence and weakening the pathways for reactivity. You are not trying to find more hours in the day. You are fundamentally improving the quality of the hours you already have. You are injecting a potent dose of awareness into a moment that was previously wasted. This is the true alchemy of personal change. It is not about adding more to your plate, but about bringing more consciousness to what is already there. This small, steady ritual is the antithesis of the dramatic, fleeting New Year's resolution. It is humble, it is simple, and it is silent. But its effects over time are nothing short of revolutionary. It proves that you do not need more time. You only need to use the time you have with more purpose. And in doing so, you rewire not just your nights, but your entire life. The truth is, life isn't transformed in big dramatic moments. It's transformed in the quiet, invisible rituals we repeat every single night. 7 minutes before sleep might seem small, but in reality, it's the seed of a new life. Night after night, it grows, until one day you wake up and realize you've changed. And all it took was 7 minutes. So remember this: don't waste the most powerful moment of your day. Don't carry chaos into your sleep. Use those 7 minutes to get clear, to breathe, to let go, and to plant one good seed. It's small, simple, and silent, but it's more powerful than hours of struggle.